Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If it's first time seeing my face, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If it's not first time seeing my face and you like what I'm doing, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Child, we just gonna hop right into this because girl. Today's video is a story time of why I quit McDonald's in a week. If you have seen my face before at your local McDonald's as your employee, you wondered what happened to me after a couple days, literally not even a week, 6 days, this is what happened. If you are the managers that are in this story or people in this story and you felt like I'm representing in a bad way, respectfully. Okay, so this all started pretty much, let's say June 1st. I was on Indeed and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and try to find me a job because it's the beginning of summer. If you didn't know, I'm a college student. So I was like, you know what, let me save a little bit of money for me to go onto campus with next year. You know, just to have a little bit of pocket of my change for these tickets and just stuff coming up, right? So, you know, all this is happening and I'm like, you know what, let me just go ahead and look it on Indeed and find me a job. So boom, I then see the perfect thing. If you know me, I know some people are different. I love me a good morning shift, like 4 a.m. to 12 or 1. I love me a good morning shift because I can go ahead, get everything done, and then live my life afterwards, you know what I'm saying? Best thing ever. So what caught my attention with this ad is very important that you listen. Here, let me see if I can find it actually, so y'all can like see that like I'm not tripping. I have receipts. But yeah, so pretty much I went in for the position. The position is a $12 an hour opening from 4 a.m. to 12 and then closes 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with full-time availability. Keep that in mind, please keep that in mind. So I went and saw that and I'm like, 4 to 12, that's amazing. I'm out there before the rush even hits. That's good. So I went ahead and decided to apply. Here's me applying. So it went and it asked me, you know, what times am I looking for, this and that. So it gave me times that I could do the interview. I picked June 6th on a Monday. It said, thank you, you know, we scheduled your in-person interview for you Monday, June 6th at 9. It will be held blank, 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 right? So in the end, it repeats the same thing. We're excited to move you forward in your process. Please complete your application for immediate $12 an hour openers for 212. Like I said, that is the thing that's being broadcast, 4 to 12, right? This has me so mad. Let me go to my notes so I don't stray off. So this is when a new character is introduced. We're gonna call him M. So M is going to conduct my interview. I went in there, I sat for about 10 minutes and he came along. One thing I noticed about M was he was very fast talking, you know, just the okay guys, so the reason why I did his voice like that was because this man was honestly like he never wanted to say anything to me face to face. All he wanted to do is have other people involved and other managers, but never said anything to me, although the only issue was between me and him. So I decided to give him a little elf, little bit voice. Okay, like, you know, slow that down for me. So he's talking to me and he was like, you know, tell me about yourself, this and that, da, 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 da. So I tell him all these things about myself and then he's like, okay, so what like position were you trying for? I said, oh, the 4 to 12, that's literally on the thing. He's like, oh, well, that's not really a time frame for us. And I'm like,
girl, what the fuck is you talking about?
Like, he was saying it wasn't a shift hour. And I'm just like, what? And I'm like, oh, well, that's what it said. And he was like, yeah, but what hours are you willing to work? This is where it comes into play. Remember, he said there's no 4 to 12 shift. Remember, 4 to 12 shift comes with open availability. But since I cannot work 4 to 12, we're talking about flexible morning hours. He should know this. He's trying to manipulate me. I should have been knew this. Did I know it then? No, I know it now. So then I say, okay, well, I'm flexible, but like I'm looking more for like, you know, 6 to 1 or like, you know, waking up at 4, you know, early as possible. He's like, okay, well, would you be willing to work like maybe, let's say like a 6 to 2, or like, you know, afternoons, like when lunch is? I'm like, sure, like we have to discuss it. So this is partly my fault, and I want to make it clear that before you sign anything, always look at it. But here's the catch. When he is explaining this to me, he doesn't say anything about availability or nothing like that. He just gave me a paper. He's like, okay, sign this so you can start orientation. He's like, okay.
Well, you'll just be flexible. We'll talk about your schedule more on orientation. You can, you know, get the kinks out.
I'm like, okay, cool. So I signed it. I should have read it, but he didn't write anything on there. And I was like, okay. He literally just put like, I think to be decided or something on it. And I signed it. So then he's like, okay, when can you come in for orientation? I said whenever. He said, okay, how about tomorrow? I'm like, that works fine with me, because the earlier the better, so I can start making this coin, right? So this is when the interview comes in. Okay, not the interview, I'm sorry. This is when orientation comes in. So they have us go up there, and it was like, yeah, orientation at 8 a.m. They gave us a little slip. I wish I took a picture of the slip, but can't cry over spilled milk. But pretty much they gave us a slip and said, this is your ticket to orientation. You know, make sure you wear non-slip shoes, you know, dark jeans, and like a plain shirt. So I show up in Vans, of course. That has nothing to do with the story really, but I show up in Vans because I'm not getting no non-slip shoes until I know I have the job, you know. So I show up, and I'm the first one there. I go and I meet, we're gonna call her Bertha. I meet Bertha. She's the GM of the store. So she's like,
okay, hi, how are you? We're going to have you set up this, and that. You know, we're going to start signing your papers and your W-2s and stuff like that.
I'm like, why are we doing this in person? And the people that later came were also asking. They're like, oh,
we need a paper trail stuff, because there's one in the system, but we also need a paper trail.
Red flag, keep that in mind. So while we're filling out the things, I met 2 other girls. We're gonna call them Sam and Alex. Okay, Sam and Alex. I meet Sam and Alex. Sam is like an older woman, and Alex, she's like a minor. The only reason this is important or reminds you of it is because she had to get like a work permit. That's why it's like so fresh in my mind. But yeah, me, Sam, and Alex go through the work and stuff like that. And pretty much there was a moment where they were like, okay, well, we need to go and set up your payment and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, we'll do direct deposit. I'm like, cool, you know, I know my number by heart, you know, go ahead and let me type it in. She's like, no, you need an official like bank thing, like a bank paper and statement from the bank for your information. Either you can get it emailed to us or you had to bring it in. And I'm like, nobody told us this. So she's like, okay, well, since you don't have it with you today, I'll just give you this prepaid card. I'm like, you know what? That's all right. I'll take the prepaid card because I got bills, and I'd rather them not snatch the money out, you know, when I need it, right? So we go through orientation. It's really just boring module stuff. We never really get to hit the actual kitchen or to look around or anything, right? So this is where things start to be fishy. So she asked us, like, is there, you know, we're at the end by now. This whole process took about 3 hours. I didn't know it was going to take 3 hours, 4 hours. They told me 1. So I was very confused, but we were getting paid for it, so I didn't really care. We get to the point where they're talking about, you know, when you come in, when you can get like the uniforms and stuff. And I'm just like, you know, I start tomorrow. And she started asking, like, you know, is there any days that you need off ahead of time, or do you want like an availability form so we can, you know, straighten that out? I said, oh yeah, give me availability form so I can go ahead and, like, I just wanted to do 3 days off, 4 on, so I won't get too tired and I'm making a good amount of money while still like enjoying my summer, right? So I asked for it. She goes back there, Bertha, keep in mind this is Bertha, she goes back there to talk to M. It's very weird to me how M wasn't out here during this whole thing. Remember, M is a manager, Bertha's the GM. So they're back there for a while, and I'm sitting talking with the girls, and Alex brings to my attention, she's like,
I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but like, how much are y'all getting paid?
I'm like, oh, I'm getting paid 11. And it didn't hit me till that moment. I'm like, wait. And the other girl's like, yeah,
I'm getting paid $11.50.
Sam said that. And Alex is like,
I'm gonna get paid $10.50.
and so we're looking like, huh? She was like, you know, Alex was like,
Oh, that's weird because out on the sign it says hiring $12 an hour starting rate.
and so that was weird to us because we're like, huh? And I'm even thinking. So then Bertha comes back and she's like, okay,
here's y'all's things.
she turns to me and she's like, okay,
So the issue with you is that you're open availability. So you can, do an availability form. Pretty much your work when needed.
and I'm like, open availability? I was like, I never said open availability. And I was just like, this, this is gonna work and this and that. So I'm sitting here thinking about it because it got me hot because I already decided days I was gonna work and everything like that. And I'm just like, this is like a, first red flag, major one. So eventually I'm like, I let it sit for a second, but I'm just like, something doesn't seem right. So while I'm sitting and thinking, Alex did ask Bertha like, hey,
Why are we not getting $12 an hour for starting and it's up there?
she goes and she's like, yeah,
Well, that's for like full time, and like you have to work your way up.
and then that raises another red flag. If I'm as full time, why was I trying to get paid $11? So I brought that up. She had to go back and talk to M again. Like I said, none of this talking is happening in front of them. Bertha's meeting with M in the back where the kitchen is, and we're out in the lobby just having this meeting. So I'm thinking about it. I'm like, this don't seem right. So eventually he comes back with her and they're talking and he's explaining it to them. He's talking with Alex about, raising her pay, but she has to show him that she's worthy. And that's weird to me because Alex, even as a minor, she's worked years in fast food, and so has Sam, and so have I. And I'm just like, that's very weird, Anyways, the next part of the conversation has me hot. So then they're like,
oh, well, we would love to give you an availability, but it can't be changed because it's already in the system, and you have to wait 90 days. And I'm
like, 90 days. 90 days, y'all. 90 days is September. I go back to school in August. You're telling me I literally just we just had an interview yesterday, June 6th. On June 7th, I tell you that's not gonna work, and I never said open availability. You're telling me now it's gonna take 90 days to actually do availability change. And I'm just like, I never said open availability. I said I was flexible in the mornings and we can work on the schedule more. That's what you said too. And that's the thing too. If you would admit, that's what I'm saying, they withhold information to get over on you. And that's the thing. If you would have said during the interview that 90 days the availability can be changed, you know what went through my head? Let me think long and hard about this. But you didn't say that. You literally left me in the dark, had me sign something, and then you changed something on top of it, first of all. And this is how I know they're full of it. Bertha, keep in mind, the GM, she goes and she talks to me later and she's like, yeah,
like, I even tell my kids this.
Oh, I don't give a about her kids, to be honest, the way she treated me. But she was like, yeah,
I even tell my kids this when they're doing the job. Make sure that you read what you're signing and da da da.
I did, but y'all been fishing. I'm like, you know what? I'll work with this because we still talked about me getting off around 1 or 2. And it's like I said, it's summer. It's not that bad. You know what I'm saying? So let's fast forward to the next day. June 8th, my official first day. Whew. This is, it should have been another red flag. But Donnae, who just wanted to work and do nothing, that. So the first day comes and we're going to call him Tyrone. So they had me come in 8 to 3. And I'm like, okay, whatever, this is just for training purposes. I come in 8 to 3, I meet Tyrone and I meet the line ladies. And pretty much it's just 2 of them. One puts the stuff on the sandwiches and then the second one, scoops the nuggets and puts the meat on the sandwiches and keeps it going. Not even trying to be funny. This is what it felt like to be on sandwich line. Like, it was so hectic. Like, I just thought this was funny, but this is what it reminded me of. The one that's on the grill cook, Tyrone, he's there, and that's pretty much what I'm gonna be starting off training. They told me I would get trained in different departments, and then after that, they'll kind of switch me, and I'll be flexible, which is cool because I don't like doing the same thing
over and over and over and over and over again. Like,
that's how I get tired real quick. So they had me introduced to Tyrone. I'm talking to him. You know, I like the way he's doing stuff. He's doing stuff to pre-cook everything so that he never gets behind. He teaches me like, teaching you like how to be prepared, how to know this and that. And you know, we're going through it and I'm starting to learn it. Although I did burn about 16 sausages, you know, it was my thing. And I'm like, okay, you know, it's only the first 30 minutes. We're good. Like, I'm gonna have a trainer. We're good. He teaches me how to do like the regular meat because he had to pre-cook it because it was like 10:15. And as you know about McDonald's, breakfast ends at 10:30. So, you know, we're doing that. And I'm like, okay, what's next? And he's like,
Well, I'm about to go home, so.
I'm like, okay, you're going home. That's great. So I'm like, oh, they know I'm a trainer because they kept introducing me to people. Everyone know I'm new. So I'm like, okay, someone else is coming in. No one came in. No one at all. I am brand spanking new. My first day, had no training, thrown all over the place. Apparently I was doing stuff wrong all the time. I was getting yelled at. Like, they'll be like, no, don't do this, don't do that, but do this. And I'm like, I was taught how to make eggs. So literally like this, my first day, I'm running from grill to fryer to grill to fryer to this to that to the back to get more meat patties. And I'm stressing. Okay, so the reason that I was stressing, like, was because honestly, it was feeling like nobody was at work, but really the managers were just hiding in the office and doing fake stuff. Like, you know how, like, they just sit around and they do little stuff like bagging the food or really just, you know, walking around acting like they're helping customers. Yeah, so they knew I was new. They knew I was training, and nobody was there and nobody showed up until after the rush hit and everyone came into the kitchen. And I'm just like, where was y'all help before? Like, I needed another person. Like, that made no sense. And, like, it was just so stupid. Because it's my first day. I don't know what to do. I'm the only person back here and I have to work. I should have walked out that day, but I stuck it through. And the crazy thing is, everyone's coming up to me afterwards like, oh my
God, you did so good for your first day, and you're amazing.
I'm just like, I don't feel amazing. I want to go home. Keep in mind, I did not get a break that day because it was not the appropriate time to get a break. Talk about that. So from then, I pretty much, let me see, they had me work 3 days in a row, 8 to 3 for like, you know, just the beginning of the first week. So, let me see, I worked Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 to 3, and then I went and had the weekend off. So, this is where stuff starts to turn up a little bit. This is actually the 13th, Monday, June 13th. Remember, last week was my first week, and I was left alone and just thrown out, remember? So, it's the 13th. And whew, I end up meeting this guy there. He doesn't really hold any significance, but I'm really just gonna call him Lance, to be honest. So Lance was there, and you know, I had trained with him I think one day, and it was a Monday. And so this Monday I came in at 6 a.m. And I was excited because I'm just like, you know what, the earlier you come in, the later you get off, right?
Nope.
And I couldn't have been more wrong. Like, this day still has me hot. So pretty much, like, I'm noticing, like, when I come in, I'm coming in earlier than most associates, and they're being able to leave before me. And usually I'm left here doing stuff that I don't have to be doing, and there's already help needed. Today in particular, I was really over it. I burnt my finger on the stove, you know. I was just not feeling it. And this is a very important matter. I mean, this is a very important fact. I came in at the same time as one of the line cooks. Keep that in mind. She's the line preppers, cooks, whatever you want to call it. So I'm like, you know what? Like, I looked at the schedule back there because I didn't get a break, but I went back there to check real quick when I was getting stuff out the freezer. And everyone that came in at 6 got to leave at 1 or 2. and they got me stuck here till 4. And I'm just like, this ain't gonna cut it. Like every other day I saw came in at 6, I didn't get off till 3 or 4, and other people got to leave at 1, 12, 2. So I'm like, this is crazy. So in my head, I'm already irritated because I was by myself most of the morning, most of the day again. Keep in mind, like I said, I was by myself most of lunch / the rush, because it's a rush. And it was just a lot going on. So I'm irritated. So by the time, 12 comes, I've had it in my mind, okay, I'm gonna leave at 2. Because everyone that comes in at 6 is getting off at 2. Why am I scheduled till 3 and 4? And I know some of y'all are gonna be like,
oh, well, that's what it's scheduled to.
I'm just like, okay, that's fine. But remember, open availability. Schedule me when I'm needed. So I'm really just a fill-in. If I'm there and 2 other people are there that's doing the same job as me, I should be able to go because I've been here since 6. Keep that in mind. 2 comes around, I'm leaving. Like I already told the guy, I already told Lance, hey, I'm leaving. I came in at 6, I'm done. So I go, I'm clocking out. Here's my fatal mistake. The hunger got the best of me. I asked one of the managers if he could ring me up for a large fry. So while he's doing that, I'm like waiting on the fry and I'm getting ready to clock out. So Lance opens his mouth and he yells to the front. He's like, hey, we're losing 2 back here. I'm gonna need you to put, send me 2 back here, to cover. And so M was there. Hate when he's there. You don't even know when he's there because he's just sitting there in the office on his phone or sitting there bagging stuff that can be done by anybody else. So really, he has no purpose if we're gonna be honest. So pretty much M is like, huh? So M peeks around the corner and he's like,
Donnae, are you leaving?
I'm like, yeah. He's like,
what does your schedule say?
And we said that. I'm like, what? And I'm like, you keep up with schedules now. I'm like, okay. So then I go back there and he sees it says 3 and not 2. And he's like, no.
It says 3. Like you stay here till 3. He's
trying to joke about it. And I'm like, but here's the thing. And I brought it to him as a concern. I said, here's the thing. Everyone here that comes in at 6 gets to leave at 1 or 12. Latest 2. I was like, why do I have to stay till 2? He's like, oh,
because no one else can stay past 2.
And I'm just like, well, I've already put it and talked to you saying that I can't stay past 2 and that this would be an issue. He's like, yeah.
Remember, the open availability is in the system.
Here's where I started thinking, because Donnae just started thinking. When Donnae started thinking, it's dangerous. So I'm thinking, I'm like, there's no way I'm in the system. Because when I clock in, a manager has to authorize it. Because I'm not in the system. You told me that yourself. So y'all are saying this open availability is in the system when it's really not. Because I can't even clock in by myself. So what are you talking about? Exactly. That's when I'm like, you're just trying to fool me. So pretty much when that happens, you can see it on my face. I am heated and I'm just like, I don't say nothing. I go back to rapid sandwiches and I'm pissed. So then Lance comes over and he's just like, what happened? And so I'm talking kind of loud. I'm pretty sure M can hear me because I'm right at the thing where you slide the sandwiches through. If you ever seen a McDonald's, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm just mad. I'm like, this don't make no sense. I came in here at 6 in the morning with so-and-so. I'm not gonna say her name because she's not that big part of the story. But I was like, I came in here with her and she gets to leave at 2 and I said I want to leave at 2 because I've been here this long, da-da-da-da. And so Lance was like, yeah, like how many hours have you been here? And I told him and he was like,
to be honest with you, M is gonna try to take advantage of you as much as he can. I would go talk to Billy.
And I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to anyone. I want to go home because that's the time, that's the thing. I think I'm probably like, oh, well, you did say, it is open availability for this and that time. Y'all are making up shift hours for me. It's to the point where my shift hours are looking like manager hours. Remember, this happened on the 13th, which is a Monday. So I'm sitting there and, I'm feeling something on the back of my neck. I'm feeling it. If you know one thing about me, I'm very in tuned on what's happening around me. I can be sitting here like this and be looking stupid, but I know what's happening around me. I'm very in tune with my environment and everything. So I'm feeling like this little like gnat feeling, like a little gnat feeling in my ear. And I'm just like, someone's talking about me. I was like, Emma's talking about me to somebody. And I just felt it, and that made me even more mad because, like I said, I'm having to do this extra hour that's not making sense. It isn't a shift hour because you told me 4 to 12 wasn't a shift hour, and that's why I couldn't have it. But then when I tell you the shift hour you have me working isn't a shift hour, it's because I'm just there because you didn't really need my help. To be honest, you could have came on this line because you just got here. But anyways, I just felt like this feeling, and I'm like, he's talking about me. And it kind of made me madder and madder. And I'm just like, he's talking about me. I feel it, this, and that. Like, you know, I can just feel the disruption of just something. Next thing you know, I hear like footsteps go around the line because we didn't know McDonald's has a double line where like there's another side you can see through. And I just hear footsteps and they go to the office right over here to my right. And I hear,
Donnae, can I talk to you?
and I'm like, oh my God, just let me work for my last hour. So I go in there, and this is what threw me off. This is what pissed me off. I feel like managers have that like sense of entitlement, and it's kind of just like it's to degrade you. So when you're talking to me and we're trying to figure out an issue between you and me, there's no reason to have another manager in there that has no idea of the situation. Pretty much you just need them to back you up so I don't punk you in this room. You know what I'm saying? So I end up pretty much in a manager meeting. I know y'all probably like, girl, this is not, you know, this is not morale or whatever, but let me tell you what happened. So they're just like, okay, we're trying to get to pretty much Emma's talk. I don't know why, but the person I've been having this problem with, I'm having this problem with, was not even talking. It was Billy, the man who I have not spoken to. So I'm just like, oh, you a bitch. That's what it is. You can't sit up here and talk to me, little 5'4" me. When you're 6 something, that's what it is. You want him to do the dirty work. You just want to sit around and do nothing. Okay, well, I'm fine with that. So pretty much Billy's like, we need to get to the end of this problem. Like, what is happening, like with the hours and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I can't do open availability. I need some type of structure and consistency in my hours. I need to be out of here around 2, no later than 3. And I just need to be able to put some type of input. Here comes M chiming in.
Well, she has open availability and this and that and da-da-da-da.
And I'm just like, ding, ding, ding. I know what I'm about to do. So, remember when I had orientation about a week ago? When I was talking to Bertha, I mentioned that I might have to do summer school. She said, okay, that's fine. I told her about how I was going to A&T in the fall, you know, #1 HBCU. And she was like, you know what, that's fine. Make sure you get a schedule to M. And, you know, I'll let him know. So she let him know that I was doing summer school. So while we're in the meeting, I decided, you know what? I don't actually have to go to summer school, but let me see how they would, you know, treat it differently. And I know you're probably like, Donnae, you're not supposed to lie to them, and that's really untruthful. I know you managers out there is like, that's just messed up. But listen, I was doing this because you left me no other option. You would not work with me. You would not communicate with me. You would just ignore me. So I said, well, I have school and I can't be, you know, no later than 2. And he's like,
Well, why didn't you tell me that? Like, I still would have hired you.
that is a red flag. Anyone getting an interview, that is a red flag. If you said I still would have hired you after I said a certain thing, most likely you would have not hired me for you to say that. And here's the thing that had me mad. I was like, okay, well, here are the days, here, here, and here. He's like, okay,
well, just let me know your schedule.
I said it again. He's like,
Okay, well, this, and that.
I'm like, all right, well, you know, make it happen. And still, you know, I'm mad because I'm just like, this 90-day availability. He told me pretty much I have no say-so in my hours only what days I could take off. And they were both saying, and like I said, I don't like the feeling of being ganged up on. It just gives me like, it gets me riled up, to be honest, because I'm like used to getting stepped on. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was used to it, like, just like, not even like seriously, but I'm at the point of my age where I'm just like, you know what? I'm grown enough to pay bills. I'm grown enough to sign for myself. You know, you're not about to step over me. You're gonna hear what I have to say, and you're gonna take it or leave it. You know, if he would have told me in that office, you know, that's not gonna happen. If you would like to, this and that. That's cool, but don't lie to me and say you have it under control, and that's fine. Another thing was, at the end of the meeting, M said, yo, before I get ready to leave,
Donnae, you're doing really good. Like, to be honest, we wouldn't be having this meeting if you weren't a good worker.
I'm just like, if I hadn't wait and stressed myself out trying to be the only person online, you wouldn't have talked to me. You probably would have just done what you wanted to do, what you did in the first place. Like I said, it's just weird because he was just trying to butter me up, because even before the meeting, when he saw me, he was like, you're
doing a great job, Mrs. A.
He's talking to me. He's never talked to me. Fast forward, because this is when the receipts start coming in, and then this is where everything changes. Like, just goes from 0 to 100 real quick. Like, no Drake. Like, this is crazy. So the next day, I ended up not going to work because of a school emergency. They had me scheduled 7 to 3. Like I said, you see how the hours aren't really adding up. Like, one day 6 to 3, one day 7 to 3, one day 8 to 3, one day 5 to 1, 6 to 1, you know, 9 to 5, 9 to 7. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not consistent. That's all I'm asking for, is consistency. So the next day, I ended up having a school emergency. And the school emergency was housing. But the housing is like the Hunger Games. Really, it's the housing games. Like, you gotta get on there. You gotta type in your password, you know. And I found these really nice girls. We are besties. We got the crew group chat, you know what I'm saying? We were trying to get an Aggie Village, pretty much like the 4-room things, but we ended up getting like a suites. You know, we can talk about that in a different video if y'all want to know. Let me know in the comments. But pretty much, I ended up forgetting about it, and I didn't get to tell my manager the day before. And so, it didn't hit my mind until I woke up at like 9 something. And I was like, oh crap, I forgot to call into work. And I'm like, okay, like, I gotta call. Like, I'll call after I get done and let them know, like, hey, something came up. I'm sorry. This and that. You know. So I went ahead and handled my business, like I said, because one thing about me, no matter what it is, school's gonna come first, regardless. No matter if it's about housing, no matter if it's about a meal ticket, no matter if it's about just talking to somebody, I will call out in a heartbeat. So like I said, I really just forgot to call out. So this is, you know, this is where I start to realize he's a snake. He is a snake. Cause I'm just like, what in the world? Guys, let me go ahead and pull up the message. So here you go, you can read with me. So M texted me at 9:52. Like I said, I woke up at 9 something. I had to be on the computer by 10 to log in and do what I had to do. He said, hi
Donnae, this is M. You were scheduled today 7 to 3. We were trying to figure out what happened. Are you still working with us or not? Please let us know so we can move on. Thanks.
To me, that is very disrespectful. That is the ultimate disrespect to anybody, because you never know what's happening in someone's life. And I get it, mine wasn't a really important situation, but like I said, what you're not gonna do is come at me like, oh, like, are you coming back or not? Because we can move on. You know, we don't need you. Although you said many times that you need me. Keep that in mind. And that was just disrespectful to me, because I'm just like, I missed one day and you think it has something to do with your stupid job with McDonald's. You think it has something to do with Mickey D's? No, this is about my life that I have to live. When I clock out, you know what I have to do? Live my life. You know what's gonna happen at the end of this summer? I'm gonna have to go to school and do what I have to do. So no, you know what I'm saying? That's just disrespectful. And like I said, you don't know what happened. You don't know. I could be in a car accident. You don't know something happened to my parents, because my parents are very bad luck prone. You don't know what happened. You don't know if I could be dead. Like, goodness. So It took me a minute, and here's the crazy thing. You know when your messages pop up, they don't show you the whole message. So I didn't see that after what happened. I didn't see the rest. So the next day, like I said, the crazy thing is I didn't plan this at all. But pretty much the day that I didn't go was the day before my 2 days off. Like I said, I wasn't thinking, I was just, like I said, I've been working, I've been doing school stuff, like trying to do what I had to do. So once I saw that second part, I was just like, oh, you're disrespectful. And I was on the phone with my sister and I told her, and she was like, Donnae, just leave. Like my sister, my second oldest, one thing about her and me, when it comes to a job, you disrespect us, it's over. And that's kind of how I was feeling that moment. And I was like, hello, yes. I wasn't able to come in yesterday due to a family emergency. I'll be at work on the next scheduled day. Thank you. That's the end of it. Because like I said, one thing about these jobs is they get a little too comfortable. If I say I'm not going to be there, or I say something happened, you don't need to know what. Like, this has happened so many times. Like, bro, like, you be like, hello?
This is McDonald's.
Yes, so I'm calling out today.
What's so important that you can't help us? Like, what?
Well, I don't really feel comfortable sharing.
Well, if you're not gonna show up, we're gonna have to do something about it, like write up our points or something. Like,
to be prepared. PTO,
I mean, I need to know.
Prepare the others because I'm not going to be there.
Like, you need to be here. Like, there's no exception.
We don't do points.
Okay, but you're open availability. You need to be here because we need you. Took this career seriously.
Well,
this is supposed to be your whole life here. Flipping
I have
burgers.
incredible diarrhea, and I'm gonna poop all over the Big Macs and McChickens.
Oh wow! Oh, you don't have to go that far.
Oh, now
okay,
now you
I
don't
know why.
yeah,
See you later. We love you. We need you.
That's pretty much how a conversation would go working with them. But yeah. So with that, you know, that should have been the end of conversation. Just like, okay, yeah, something happened. I'm not gonna be there. I'll be there on my next scheduled day. He continues to text me like, oh, okay, do you work tomorrow? This is this is what irritates me. They want to know my schedule when it benefits them. Like I said, remember that day he was trying to say, oh no, I know you don't leave at that time. But now for me, I'm not even at work. So why are you trying to figure out my next schedule that you can go look? You can go look, baby. It's like a back. It's where everyone takes their break, but not me because I don't get a break. Thank you. So,
hey guys, like, so I decided to split the story time into 2 parts because if not, it was going to be about an hour long. And I want to put y'all through that. So we're going to stop the story time right here. And part 2 will be up in about a day. If not, it's probably up by the time you're watching this. But yeah, we had to split it up because in our video, you know, I don't want to put y'all through that. But yeah, go to part 2 to see the spicy stuff. Like, this is where the receipts, the videos, the texts are coming into play. And had me hot enough that I was ready to low-key fight.